The police entered the house and saw a terrible picture, something they had never seen before. There was a terrible smell in the house. The girl's body literally fell into the sofa and rotted to the bone while the girl was still alive. Lacey Ellen Fletcher was born in 1985 in the small town of Slaughter, Louisiana. Only 1,000 people live in this city, and everyone knows each other. Nothing usually happens in such towns, but this incident made the town notorious. Lacey was the only child of Sheila and Clay Fletcher. Lacey was diagnosed with autism as a child and experienced the world differently than other children. She had problems concentrating and communicating with other children. With age, this problem only worsened. Lacey had a hard time studying at a regular school, and she had few friends. Despite this, she was always sweet, cheerful, kind, and smiling, and she also loved sports and played near her home. Her parents were very respected in the city. Sheila's mother once worked as an assistant prosecutor and later as an assistant to the mayor. Clay's father worked for a non-profit charity organization and helped people. They were religious members of the community, and no one expected such a tragedy to happen to their family. On January 3, 2022, at 2:30 a.m., Sheila called emergency services and reported that her daughter was not breathing. Police and doctors who responded to the call found a shocking picture inside the house. Lacey's lifeless body was found on a leather sofa. She was almost naked. Her body sank into the sofa up to her shoulders and wallowed in her feces, urine, maggots, and bugs. There were many red spots and ulcers on the body. The flesh was rotten to the bone and began to decompose. She leaned over on her left side. Her right hand lay near her neck. Her eyes and mouth were wide open, legs crossed underneath her. The smell was unbearable, and the sight was very creepy. According to the county coroner, this was the most terrible case in his entire practice. After that, he could neither eat nor sleep for a long time. The father was completely insensitive and did not show any emotions, and the mother tried to pretend to regret what had happened and cried. The sofa stood against the wall. To the right of the sofa stood a gray chest of drawers, on which lay a neatly folded stack of clothes. There was a cluttered small black table. It was strewn with lotion bottles, wet wipes, nasal spray, and other items. Near, there was a box of DVDs on the sofa. Apparently, Lacey was watching films that she included on discs. There was rodent excrement next to the sofa. Of course, the first question was why the parents allowed this to happen, why they were such decent people did not take care of their own daughter, how the parents could even be in this house and live in such a stench and unsanitary conditions was incomprehensible. The girl was so emaciated that she weighed only 66 pounds at 36 years old. An autopsy showed that Lacey had not left the couch for about 12 years and was in such terrible conditions because the skin in the back and buttocks turned black. She had tested positive for COVID, but it was not the cause of death. The pathologist determined the cause of death to be severe medical neglect that resulted in malnutrition, starvation, immobility, acute ulceration, and osteomyelitis. A purulent necrotic process began in the bones, which led to sepsis. The pathologist determined the girl's death to be a homicide. She is believed to have died 24 to 48 hours before the emergency call was made. According to her parents, a couple of days before her death, they went on a weekend trip, and after returning they found their daughter's body. They stated that Lacey's autism worsened and she developed Asperger's syndrome after 9th grade, and they were forced to isolate her. Then she switched to homeschooling. She disappeared from sight, and the neighbors had not seen her for 15 years. Some neighbors didn't even know that they even had a daughter. Parents told friends who asked about Lacey that her daughter was sick and couldn't leave the house. Supposedly, she had locked-in syndrome. This is a rare, serious form of neurological disorder that is characterized by muscle paralysis, with the exception of those that control eye movement. Patients with this disease, completely bedridden and in need of care. They are completely dependent on guardians, while they feel and understand everything and can communicate using their eyes. But there was no such diagnosis in Lacey's medical record, and who made it was unknown. The last time their daughter saw a doctor was at age 16, when she was still in school. She only complained of anxiety, and her diagnosis was autism. Why did she become paralyzed is unknown. The Fletcher family led a closed life, did not communicate with anyone much. No one came to visit them over the years, so no one knew what was happening to Lacey. Parents Sheila, 64, and Clay Fletcher, 65, were arrested on May 2, 2022. They were charged with second-degree murder. Sheila and Clay did not admit their guilt and stated that their daughter was already an adult and made her own decisions. They could not influence her in any way and intervene in this situation. She just liked being a recluse, not leaving the house, living on the couch without getting up. She didn't even want to go to the toilet, and relieved herself on a towel that was next to the sofa, and then they cleaned it all up. According to them, Lacey never complained that she felt bad, so they did not contact doctors. Her mother was helping treat her skin sores. It all sounded implausible. All this happened for 12 years before their eyes, and they did nothing. And now they began to claim that she was not sick and did not need care. It also seems suspicious that Lacey died just when they left on vacation. 2 days after the arrest on May 4, 2022, the parents were released from prison under bail is set at $300,000 each. This decision caused a lot of controversy. According to the district attorney, the parents did not have a criminal record. They were likely to escape. Minimal, which is why they were given the opportunity to await trial in freedom. Sheila and Clay pretended to be grieving parents who regretted the death, but the public did not believe them. Lacey's parents could have helped her if they had turned to doctors for help, but this would have required a desire, which they probably did not have. The prosecutor called the girl's death a homicide and called for a law enforcement investigation, citing her death as a result of severe neglect. Now the question is being decided how to qualify this case as manslaughter, as murder by negligence, or second-degree murder. For negligent homicide, the sentence is up to 5 years, manslaughter up to 40 years, and second-degree murder is life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The prosecutor said he would argue for second-degree murder because they didn't do what they should have done. Lacey's parents were her primary caregivers and were there to help her. The trial is still ongoing. We will monitor the progress and will tell you about the verdict.